1466 Webb Robotics, and this is our presentation, Thriving as a Rookie, What New Team Members Really Need. So, a little bit about us. We're Team 1466. Founded in 2004, we have been a part of the local robotics community for over 20 years now. Historically, we're a student-led team. We strive to make sure that people on our team participating in it have opportunities to lead. We like students making decisions and having mentors to help guide. But at the end of the day, the team is run by us, the students. We put an emphasis on community service and STEM outreach. As we like to say, we are an outreach team with a side gig of building a robot. And in 2025, we won the Engineering Inspiration Award at Magnolia, and we got the wonderful opportunity to go to Worlds.
So hi, I'm Kaiser, and I am the electrical technical lead for our team. I also work with code, and I also work at the pits in the actual events.
I'm Lucas, and I work on the CAD team, and I was a technician last year.
I'm Deacon. I'm a part of the electrical and CAD teams.
So I'm going to start off with what you should expect from a season of FRC. So we begin with in-season. So right now we're at Kickoff, and this is where you find out details about the game. So you'll find out game rules, point systems, you'll find out the game pieces, their dimensions. You'll find out the field design and the field structure, the mapping. And this is very important for you to do. You should understand the rules. That is key for your FRC journey. Because that's how you understand the game, and that's where you'll find your success. Understanding the rules will transition very well into the prototyping week. This is where you have to decide what your robot will focus on. This is where you will kind of develop your mechanisms. You're going to focus, understand what you're going to focus on for your team. And as a rookie, you might help with field construction. You might want to learn how to assemble things from diagrams. And you want to understand the game. That is very important. For robot build weeks, this is a very fast time. The best thing you could do as a rookie is just be observant. Sometimes things can happen and you won't be there for it, but just you'll feel confused, but just come back in, fresh start, just be observant, and that's the best thing you can do. Just breathe and be observant.
So during events are a little bit different because everything will be highly focused, highly concentrated on actually making sure the robot performs. So your senior members and your drive team will all be focused in the pits and actually doing it and actually competing. And there won't be as much time for you to be as involved in making the robot work. And so during competitions, what you will primarily be doing is scouting, and occasionally you'll be helping in the pits. And scouting, during scouting, a good way to spend time is also watch matches and see what other robots are doing. I would say the best thing you can do as a rookie during competition is to observe other robots, see what other teams are doing, and see what mechanisms, subsystems, and other things they are using that are unique and are similar to you, see what works for them, see what doesn't. And you observing this, whereas a senior member might not be able to observe, is more helpful to the team as a rookie, even though you might not know as much. And I would say that's very helpful. And also at events, similar to right now, there isn't as much Wi-Fi coverage, and also you won't have chargers. At Magnolia last year, it was in a horse derby. So make sure you bring a charger, or just be aware of that.
So events can be big and loud and busy. At my first event, RCR, in 2024, I did not have ear covers or earplugs or anything. And that was a terrible call because anytime there's anything a bit too loud, my brain does not work that well. And a lot of y'all might have similar things to me, sensory issues, and you will want to plan for those because there are a lot of bright lights, there's a lot of sound, a lot of people. If there's really any sort of sensory issue, you could account for it. If you can't account for it, there are sensory rooms that are just away from everything else and kept quiet. Those are good if you need to just get away from the crowds and sit and think. But if you have an option to, say, get earplugs or sunglasses if the lights are too bright, then I would take that opportunity because trying to function at these events, if you are sensitive to sound or sights or anything, it's hard. Don't try to do that. Just don't.
So, best thing you can do as a rookie is just to commit. You can commit, committing comes in all different shapes and sizes. So you can commit by learning how to CAD. You could commit by learning a programming language. Like last year, I went to commit by learning Java, which was very beneficial to my journey as an FRC rookie. You can also talk to older team members because they're very experienced. They have done this before, and they have a very good grasp of robotics in general. So ask what they do, ask what their journey is. It's very beneficial to do that. You can also talk to your mentors because they're also very experienced. They have a great grasp of robotics and its complexities. So just ask them anything you want, and honestly, just show up. Again, be observant, and that's your best way to succeed in your journey.
So I would say the most important tools, the best that you can actually familiarize yourself with robotics is outside of actually participating with the team, like Heiser said, committing, is one of them is Chief Delphi. This is the FRC-based forum that has anything from code to CAD to design. Also rumors are on there, so you can find some fun conversation on there, like rumors for this game. And then the next one that is very helpful, especially for scouting, is the Blue Lines, and another one is also called Statbotics. These two are just anything, these are the places you want to look at when you're looking at team stats. So before you go to competitions, you'll know what teams you'll be competing with, and this is a great time to actually see what are other teams. You can find what their robots look like, because the Blue Lines will have sometimes photos of the robots and CAD files might be listed. So this is a great way to actually see what are other teams doing, how they're performing, see what works for them. And then at competitions, like I said, just looking at other robots, seeing what they're doing is unique. Here's an example of on the left photo, that's 1690 at Worlds, and they used pneumatics and suction cups for last year's game, so it was very interesting. And another good team, 118, was very interesting to look at. So I would say coming into today's kickoff, and the most important thing, the best way you can help as a rookie is to see what other teams have done in the past for similar games. Right now you don't know a lot about subsystems, and you don't know how to integrate subsystems and see what actually works. You don't actually know how mechanisms work quite yet for FRC, but by looking at other teams in the past and seeing what they have done, that can be very helpful, because that is tried and true methods of what has actually worked. So for example, here's 2020 for a game piece that was around 8 inches or maybe less in diameter, and they just had to shoot it. And then in 2022 it was very similar. It was 1 or 2 inches smaller, but very similar mechanisms that would be used. And here's a climbing for the exact same games. So 2020 on the left, it's a very similar climb to what 2022 would have been like. And then for example, here's a very good team, 254, and subsystems are very similar. So a shooter, they may look different, but they're very similar structurally, same as the intake, same as the climb. So all of these things you can look at previous teams to actually see what they have done, what has worked for them, what have the best teams actually done, and how they changed. And so another resource for designing the robot in CAD, or you may be a little bit late now, but it can be helpful since you're not directly contributing by learning CAD, and the best way to do that is on FRC Design. This is just learning CAD. You can know nothing and you can learn FRC specific CAD. And then David's Design Server is a server, the Discord server by the people who made FRC Design, and this is an amazing resource. You can put design reviews, you can see what other people are doing, you can get help for actually designing, and in season I know we'll be using this. I will be on this server seeing what other people are doing, and it's also great because when teams release their CAD, they release full robot assembly, so you can't actually see what the sketches are and what are the actual dimensions, and here you can actually see what everything people are doing. So it's a very good way of seeing how are people doing CAD from behind the scenes and what dimensioning they're doing. And then, like I said, when you look previous years, see what other games and other teams have done for certain things. I would say another great resource for this is Spectrum CAD Collection. And this lists robots by year, and you can just access CAD files really easily. You can click the links, and this is a great way to actually see, directly see the CAD of people and what the teams have done in the past.
Alright, so safety in robotics. A lot of this information has been told to most of you by your mentors and by just team members. But if you zoned out when your mentors were talking, or if you missed the day where you had these safety briefings, this will be pretty helpful. Alright, so if you don't understand it, you don't need to use it. That's pretty self-explanatory. If you don't know how to use something, don't try to, because you can injure yourself with a lot of the tools used. They are designed to, a lot of them are designed to cut or weld or any number of things, and those are typically not things you want to happen to yourself. Next up, we have many tools require extra steps that might not be immediately obvious. So typically that just means you'll want your cover, or you'll want to change the drill bit, maybe take a cover off. Just make sure that you know adequately how to use these tools, because once again, if you don't know how to use them, they can end up pretty dangerous. Eyewear is required, and ear cover is often required to use these tools. That is self-explanatory. You don't want things hitting your eyes. You don't want to go deaf if you use an abrasive saw. That makes sense. So, keep electronics and wiring tidy. This one I learned in and outside of robotics. Generally, you do not want live wires. They are a shock risk, potential fire risk. If you damage your electronics in any ways, maybe passing too much voltage through, or just having things wired up incorrectly, you can break your electronics. Those are expensive, and they are annoying to replace. Our team, we had an orange Pi that we fed it too much voltage, and that responsibility fell to me to try and fix, and there's no saving it. It is done. So just be careful with your electronics. It's very easy to damage them. It is kind of hard to damage yourself, but I would not try to. Most common materials that you will use are safe to touch, but not all are. Most of the time, aluminum, steel, things that you would use pretty often, they'll be fine. But we use a lot of composites, mostly carbon fiber, and you don't really want to touch carbon fiber by hand if you don't have to, because you will end up very itchy. It is not fun, I assure you. Be careful of burrs, sharp edges, or splinters when handling materials. That's pretty self-explanatory as well. You just don't want to cut yourself or poke yourself. It's just not a fun time. And taking care of yourself and your team is very important. Now, you have an instinct to keep yourself safe, and most of the time you can do that pretty well, but just make sure to think about other people that could be in the lab. Make sure that you're not going to do something that could injure someone else or damage your equipment. That's just good things to keep in mind. It's good practice to make sure that whatever you're doing will not affect anyone else adversely. Just make sure that whatever you do, keep this stuff in mind. If you do that, things will most likely turn out really well.
So as a rookie, it can be overwhelming to join robotics. This can come from experienced members, like throwing around terms you don't know, acronyms you don't know. There's also a lot of subteams to deal with, so it's very complex, and it can feel like a lot to deal with and a lot to learn. You'll feel behind, you can feel confused, and you also feel like you don't want to make any mistakes, because then you'll ruin your chances. But just take a breath, honestly, and sometimes a break from the lab can be good. Just like step outside for a couple minutes, just calm down outside. And you can also, like, action steps wise, just dip your toe into like different subfields, subteams. If you're interested in like coding, you can try coding or electrical. You can also there's a whole bunch of things you can try, and just try dipping your toes, try testing things out, because you can always change later on. And the best thing you do, just ask questions. Ask as many questions as you want. All your members will be willing to answer questions. Mentors will love to answer questions. Communication is very important, and it will seriously help you just deal with everything. So these are just some things, like acronyms that you want to know, because like you might not want to look them up. So some like very important resources: Robot in 3 Days. Chief Delphi and the Blue Alliance. Just go on those, their websites, look through them, just navigate. Very good resources for you to use.
Yeah, I would say Robot in 3 days is very helpful right now because that'll all be on Chief Delphi. So teams are just like making a robot in 3 days, and you can see like what design they did, and that can contribute. Also, like I said, looking at other teams and see what they're doing like this early is very helpful. Like I think MIT is doing one for the first time, so that'll be cool. And then some other ones that like teammates just throw around is like PDH, Power Distribution Hub. That's just like that big like black like red with like red little breakers on it. Looks like it, but and then COTS is also something that'll show up in the rules, and that just means commercial off-the-shelf parts. So parts that you just buy from vendors, and that shows a lot in CAD. So just like knowing what that is helpful, and the rest of them you'll just like learn as you go. So yeah, that is all we have.
So y'all went to Worlds as a rookie, right? What was that experience like?
It was so cool. It was like seeing all the robots and the best robots from around the world was like amazing. And also like some very cool seminars. But being able to see these world-class robots was truly amazing. And I'm glad that as a rookie I'm able to do that. So.
I'll add on to that real quick. Prior robotics events, if you haven't been to Worlds, it is just on a scale way larger than you would expect. Honestly, words don't give it justice. Worlds, it is a wonderful experience. We're glad that we got to go. It's just keep in mind going to Worlds, it is a very different experience, scaled up to a very, very large degree.
What advice would you give to a rookie who's more introverted and scared to approach experienced team members?
Well, I would say just really try to focus on learning like one specific like sub-team and really get involved in like a project or something. I find like I don't really like interacting as much with people and like doing projects, so I just find like finding a project for myself to do and focusing on that is a really good way for me to actually like get involved in robotics and do it on my own and be passionate about it.
And the internet is a very good resource if you are scared to talk to other members. Just use the internet. You'll be able to learn a bunch of things from there. And just keep in mind that the older members are not going to bite, I think. And the mentors are also willing to take your questions. So like, if you don't feel comfortable approaching them, then use the internet. But like, try to break through and like push yourself out of your comfort zone.
You can also work with your mentors. You know, if you have a mentor working with the rookies, and you're looking for one of those projects, and you're not quite comfortable approaching the leads, you ask your mentor, hey, is there a project I can do, something I can be working on?
What is the best way to like establish yourself early as someone that like the team can depend on to like, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of how to be dependable to the team and like become someone that they want to depend on and want to eventually lead.
Read the game manual. That's very important because that's everything that the game is all about. It's in the game manual. So just read through that, kind of marinate yourself in it, immerse yourself in it, and then be part of the design process. A lot of rookies have very great ideas for prototyping and designs. So make those, put yourself out there in those like little meetings that y'all will probably have, and yeah.
I'll add a little bit. The commitment section we had, just make sure that you're there, you are present during these meetings. You want to know about the robot, and you want to be able to answer questions or make your own questions to the team. Just making sure that you're involved in whatever step of the process that you're at. So long as you're involved, people will notice this and they will go to you if they need someone reliable on the team.
Okay.
So you said y'all tried out a lot of sub-teams at the beginning. Like, which ones did you try? And, you know, how did it feel before you finally found, like, your group?
Ooh, that is an interesting question. Most rookies start broad, going through their different like sub-teams. A lot of times you will do something and you'll think, okay, it's interesting, but it's not really my thing, or you won't necessarily be skilled at it, and that's not an insult in any way. It's just maybe it's not your thing, maybe it's not what you want to do in robotics. So I would, as a rookie, and this is what I did, I would make sure that I had an idea of what I wanted to try and still attend as many different sub-team meetings as you can. But if you have an idea going into it of something that sounds like it would be fun or something you think you're skilled at, then I would try to focus on that as a beginner. If it doesn't work out, then you can keep going through the list of sub-teams until you find one that does feel right.
All right, seems like that's it.